Now we're on to the boys.
Which I still haven't seen.
Yeah, Hori's still millions of miles behind, but we don't give a fuck because you love it when I talk to you about the boys, don't you, Hori?
Yeah. I'm so, clued in on what the hell's going on.
Okay,
I
so
follow along so well.
we recorded 2 weeks ago exactly. The
Yeah.
very next day was the next episode of The Boys. So I've had to write loads of notes on this because there was going to be another episode in the meantime, and 2 weeks from my memory is just not going to work. So the Boys episode 6 was the Hero-gasm episode.
Yes.
Now I'm going to throw this at the front. The marketing for this was genius. The episode was phenomenal. We were lied to.
Oh.
They made it seem like this was going to be the most outrageous episode of TV that has ever existed.
Yeah.
And that the boys were going to push their own limits with what they've got away with.
Yeah.
They did nothing in this episode that they haven't done in other episodes, in my opinion.
Oh.
It was just for the entirety of the episode instead.
Oh.
So they went for more consistent weird shit instead of new outrageous shit.
Got you.
Fortunately, the story, and instead of just gore and sex and ridiculous shit for the sake of it, they went, we're going to have loads of weird shit going on, but we're going to have a fucking banger story for you guys to get your teeth into. And that's what it actually is.
Right, okay.
And it is one of my favourite episodes of any show ever. It is so damn good. But we've got a lot to go through. So what we get at the beginning is we get Homelander and the boys. No, not the boys, the 7. Going over security footage of Superboy going in to kill Crimson Countess. And they all go collectively, oh shit, that is Soldier Boy, he's alive and kicking. And Homelander, not literally, figuratively, shits his pants. Because Soldier Boy's legit dangerous and he's going around killing soups, and Homelander's a bit scared. We also get to see the inner workings of Homelander in a way we haven't before. So we get a scene very similar to the Sam Raimi Green Goblin scenes.
Oh.
Yeah. But instead of it being Norman the businessman and the Green Goblin, it's Homelander being an arsehole to Homelander. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we kind of get Homelander, who's this little needy baby who just wants to be loved and admired, and Homelander, the sick, twisted fuck, who just thinks he should be able to do whatever he wants.
Right.
So you as I've said a number of times, Homelander is just a big fucking baby who wants to be loved.
Yeah.
That it's literally the extreme of that versus the extreme of him being an arsehole, having a conversation.
Right. Got you.
And it's really, really interesting because he's legitimately bullying himself. Holy shit. I've just realised reading my notes that I made a fucking brilliant observation that literally got confirmed in the next episode. I'm fucking unreal. Everyone like and subscribe for how cracked I am.
Agreed.
So throughout the episode, as they're getting ready, we kind of see that Soldier Boy is suffering a little bit mentally. You kind of get the impression he's got PTSD.
Okay.
It's not explicitly stated at any point in the Hero-gasm episode, as far as I can remember. Based on the way I've written this note, that seems like a me observation.
Okay.
Just in him not being sure about stuff and being uncomfortable and kind of reminiscing about the good old days. And what we kind of get is 3 teams over the course of the episode.
Right.
That we're checking in with. Oh, actually, no, sorry. I wrote my notes in the wrong order here. After the 7 realise Soldier Boy's alive, we get Homelander talking to Noir, going, you used to work with him, what do you think he wants? And obviously Noir doesn't talk. And he's like, I'm so proud that I can rely on you. You mean everything to me. I'm glad that you're on the team with me. So Homelander walks off feeling really proud of himself because he's being a good team leader. And then Noir gets into an elevator, cuts his arm open and removes his tracking chip and runs the fuck away. Because obviously Noir was on a team with Soldier Boy. He don't want to fuck with that shit.
Yep. Yeah.
And what that leaves us with is 3 teams for the episode.
Right. Okay.
You've got Huey, Butcher, and Soldier Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Mother's Milk and Starlight.
Mm-hmm.
The Deep and Homelander.
Right.
So what you've got is you've got Huey, Butcher, and Soldier Boy who want to go and find more of Soldier Boy's old team that betrayed him and kill them so that Soldier Boy will help them kill Homelander.
Right.
You've got Mother's Milk and Starlight who want to stop Soldier Boy because he's unhinged and dangerous and Huey and Butcher shouldn't be trusting him.
Mm-hmm. Understandable.
And then you've got Deep and Homelander who want to track down Soldier Boy and work out what the fuck's going on.
Right.
So then the next kind of thing is we get the Deep going to visit the TNT twins, who were part of Payback, which was Soldier Boy's team.
Right.
Because they kind of worked out that he was offing his old friends. And Homelander said to Deep, it's a long shot, go see if the TNT twins know anything.
Mm-hmm.
When Deep gets there, he hears loads of people having sex inside, and he kind of invites himself in. And that is the Herogasm Festival.
I see.
And then we cut away from that. So that was kind of like a tease for everyone. Because, like, the scene literally ends as like, oh, it's Herogasm. Do you want to come in? And Deep's like, yeah, okay. And then it cuts away from that. And I could just imagine a lot of people collectively going, oh, you fuckers. So then we cut to Homelander and Starlight in an interview on Vought TV, which is basically the reporter going, is it true that Soldier Boy's back? Should we be scared? Do you have this under control? Blah, 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 blah. And Starlight is still trying to play it safe and be like, we've got this under control. We're going to deal with this. We're going to find him. It's going to be fine. And then Homelander just freaks the fuck out.
Oh.
Like proper Donald Trump style freak out, and that's exactly what they were going for. Like, oh, you're fake news, you can't be trusted, the lamestream media is trying to feed these people a bunch of lies, you're a terrible reporter who doesn't know what they're saying, blah, 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 blah. So then you get Ashley, who's like the human at the top of Vought without powers, basically firing the journalist live because it was on Vought TV, which is hilarious. And then Starlight goes back up to her room just in disbelief at what's happened. And Victoria Newman, who was Huey's boss, who was also the head explodey woman, comes in to meet her.
Right.
Now, at this point, Huey's like still pretending that he doesn't know what Victoria is, so keep it hush hush. And she goes, oh, have you seen Huey? He's still not back to the office. How's his arm doing? She's like, oh no, Huey's fine, he's getting there. He's like, oh, I thought he was worried I'd blow his head up. And Starlight kind of looks at her like, wait, what the fuck? She's like, you think I didn't work it out? I'm not a dumbass. Which was quite funny.
Oh.
So Victoria basically tries to sell Starlight on the idea of, hey, I'm powerful, I can get Homelander to kind of leave you the fuck alone.
Mm-hmm.
And we can try and do some genuine good. Yes, we'll have to do it the dirty way, but we'll try and do some genuine good to improve the world.
Yep.
And Starlight's like, considering it almost. And then she just kind of has a moment and she's like, you know what? No, fuck you. I'm not playing the dirty game and breaking all the rules just to maybe improve the world slightly. Homelander needs to be fucking dealt with properly kind of moment.
Right.
And she like storms out to go meet up on Mother's Milk again. Back to Kamiko and Frenchie's storyline. So obviously Kamiko got fucked up by Soldier Boy, lost her powers, was in the hospital trying to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the previous episode, her and Frenchie had kind of decided they were going to run away together. And then Frenchie got kidnapped by his old boss.
Right.
Kamiko has then been kidnapped by her by Frenchie's old boss. And what we get is actually, in my opinion, the most disgusting scene of the entire show. And it didn't even happen at Herogasm.
Oh, that's disappointing.
So we get Kamiko and Cherie, who was Frenchie's ex-partner, I guess, tied up, and Frenchie with like a bike lock
Mm-hmm.
and a metal pole and his neck, so like he had no wiggle room, and he clearly had the shit kicked out of him. And basically, his old boss was like, "You choose which one dies."
Oh, nice.
And obviously Frenchie's like, "No, don't do this, kill me, leave them alone." Because Frenchie is a good guy at the heart of it, despite doing some fucked up shit. And then basically an opportunity presents itself, and Kamiko manages to get free and slit the throat of one of the guys in front of her, and it leads to like I said, a fucking brutal fight scene. And like at the end of it, you get Kamiko, because obviously she's not got strength anymore, so she can't just like kill them easily. She's on top of them. Oh, sorry, the guy's on top of her, beating the shit out of her. And you don't see the punches landing, but you just hear the most disgusting sound of the blows landing.
And the crunch.
Genuinely, like, you see how I'm sitting now? This is how I was watching it. I was like,
oh, lovely.
because, like, you need to hear what's going on, but, like, you don't want it that close to your ears. And she manages to get him off and get Frenchie out. But they're both literally cut to pieces, basically on death's door. Because you've got to remember, like, Kamiko was basically dead 48 hours before this.
Right.
And she just had to fight off like 3 people 4 times her size with no superpowers.
Oofed.
Yeah.
Big oofed.
Sorry, I've just seen one of my next notes. We got the story as Mother's Milk and Starlight are traveling to the TNT twins, because they've worked out that's probably where the Soldier Boy and Huey and Butcher are going next. We get the story of Soldier Boy killing Mother's Milk's family.
Okay.
And also how that caused Mother's Milk's OCD.
Okay.
So, he heard a ruckus outside his bedroom window, and it was Soldier Boy dealing with some people in the street. And he went and woke his granddad up and pulled him over to the window to see what was happening. As that happened, Soldier Boy threw a car at their house that went through and killed everyone but him.
Not ideal.
And that trauma is what triggered his OCD of him having to put everything in the right place, because if something's not in the right place, someone could die.
Right.
Which I think was a really interesting way of showing how trauma can manifest. And that's like a very realistic way of it manifesting, obviously ignoring the superpower element, but that idea of I put someone there and they died because of it could definitely manifest in that kind of way, I feel. And then we get Mother's Milk and Starlight turning up at the TNT twins door. All I've got about this interaction is a direct quote.
Oh god, okay.
Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. And I saw this quote get mentioned a lot on Twitter as well afterwards, which was really funny to me. Thought I wasn't the only one who thought it was fucking ridiculous. It's basically Starlight knocks on the door and she realizes pretty quickly what's going on. But it's not the TNT twins who come and open the door. It's this Russian superhero whose power is he can imagine Mr. Fantastic, but his stretchy power only works on one particular part.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, okay, cool. If you don't understand what I'm saying right now, stop listening. This is not the kind of stuff you should be listening to. So then obviously he recognizes Starlight. So he's like, brilliant, an A-list superhero, come on in. But he doesn't recognize Mother's Milk. And he's like, who the fuck is this? And she's like, oh, I brought him with me because he's really good at oral sex. And this is the direct quote. He just gobbles that vagina right up. With this action.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Now you've also got to remember, we're going into a fucking sex orgy right now with a man with OCD that is also centered around cleanliness.
Well, he's gonna have a hell of a time.
Exactly. And this is a recurring quote throughout the Herogasm segment of the show, where every character individually who knows Frenchie just goes, Frenchie's going to be so bummed he missed this. He's always wanted to come to Herogasm. So then we get the sex party. And I've got a lot to go on here.
God.
So just bear with. So we get another cameo from Termite, who was in the very first episode where he blew up the lower half of his
Yeah.
lover. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a woman naked on a sofa, clearly being pleasured.
Mm.
And then you hear a little pop, and then just Termite appears covered in goo.
Ah.
And
Goo.
puts his hand on Mother's Milk's shoulder.
Oh, lovely.
And Mother Milk, like, oh, what the fuck, dude? So then
Lovely.
So then he goes over to some double doors looking for somewhere to clean up. And he opens them. And this is the bullet point I wrote down for this scene.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Mother's cum shot.
Oh, no.
Basically, he just gets hit by...
Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, it's a mega.
Right, yeah.
It's not like a normal one. It, like, covers his entire body.
Of course.
My next bullet point is simply genuinely never seen so much full frontal nudity.
Fair.
Like, literally, it's got to be a record for, like, obviously discounting porn.
Yeah, obviously.
Literally, no one in the house is wearing clothes. Everyone's just walking around butt-ass naked.
God, that must have been some wild fucking shoot for the cameraman.
Outrageous. And I can only assume a lot of the actors they got in for this were OnlyFans models and stuff. There was probably some porn stars in there as well.
God.
I didn't write much else about, like, the sex scenes going on, but one key one to remember is someone with ice-based powers made a dildo out of ice. And some stuff like that.
It just sounds painful.
We also then get Starlight walking in on deep fucking an octopus.
Sure, why not?
It's exactly how it sounds.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Deep has no trousers on. The octopus is just latched around his waist.
Yeah, of course.
Then we cut to the outside of Herogasm where we see Soldier Boy, Butcher, and Huey, like, setting up to break into the TNT Twins' house. And Soldier Boy's pissed off because he's like, them fuckers continued Herogasm without me. I invented this. Huey manages to convince him, instead of just going in there and blowing everyone up, which is also going to kill a lot of people, to give Huey 5 minutes to go in there and find the TNT Twins so that he can make sure the area is safe for him to come in and kill them without hurting anyone unnecessarily. Which Soldier Boy reluctantly agrees to. Now, here's the really funny thing. Because of Huey's powers when he's on Temp V, when he teleports, he loses all his clothes.
Perfect, then.
So he teleports in, and literally no one even bats an eyelid. Because it's someone using superpowers and his butt-ass naked. No one even gives him a second glance. A couple of people invite him into having sex, which he says no to. And he grabs, like, what do you call, like, the Japanese style robe that you wear?
Kimono.
So he grabs one of them and puts that on. Where are we at now? He then bumps into A-Train, who is looking for Blue Hawk, who's the racist superhero who paralyzed his brother at the end of the last episode. There's so many ongoing storylines, which is why you need to watch the fucking show. So Blue Hawk was being racist in A-Train's neighborhood he grew up in and beating the shit out of black folk.
Right.
A-Train was like, get this fucker to come apologize. Blue Hawk agreed to go to the local community center and apologize. And then when his apology was like a YouTube apology in its quality, and the audience was like, hey, fuck you, he started clotting people about and paralyzed A-Train's brother.
Oh, okay.
So A-Train went to Herogasm to confront Blue Hawk. And Huey bumps into him, and Huey's like literally about to kill A-Train, like with the look in his eyes, and he has powers now, so he can do it. And he's like, "You never apologized for killing my girlfriend," which was Huey's motivation back in season 1.
Right.
And A-Train looks like he's about to have it out with him. But instead, A-Train realizes because of what he's going through that he should apologize. So actually apologizes.
Oh.
And it's really interesting because you kind of see Huey's eyes understand it, but he still kind of looks angry. Because in his head, he's decided that he's about to kill him anyway, but now he's not justified in that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, Starlight bumps into Huey.
Right.
Yeah, Starlight bumps into Huey and is like, "What the fuck are you doing here? No, what the fuck are you doing here? Blah, 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 blah." And they start shouting, at which point Soldier Boy walks in.
Ah.
Huey, realizing shit's about to go south, teleports them both out.
Ah.
Which leads to a very funny scene. You don't see anything, because obviously they're the main actors, so they don't have to get actually naked on the camera. But it leads to them both standing there naked in the middle of the road next to a car, having a massive argument about Huey's hero complex. Which is just, it's really weird seeing people completely exposed having such an important conversation.
Yeah,
it's just a weird one. You never imagine yourself having the important conversations in your life but arse naked.
Well,
I mean, maybe you do, I don't know. So this leads to then the coup de grace of the episode, and quite possibly the best 15 minutes of TV ever.
Mm-hmm.
We get Mother's Milk and Soldier Boy's face off.
Mm-hmm.
And it is some of the coldest shit I've ever seen. Mother's Milk, without even blinking, sees this motherfucker and tries to gas him with the knockout gas that they thought the Russians were using on Soldier Boy. So he's like, "Oh, this will work, sweet." Soldier Boy picks it up and inhales it like it's a vape.
Oh, what a absolute Chad.
Like, such Chad behavior is unreal. And then throws it away because he's done with it. And then obviously MM's like, "Hey, motherfucker, you killed my family." And then this motherfucker turns to him and goes, "Which one?"
Ooh, burn.
At which point Mother's Milk kind of like gets ready for a fight, very understanding of the fact he's probably going to die, but he's like, "Fuck this guy, I'm fighting him anyway," because Mother Milk is also a fucking Chad. And the actor who plays Mother's Milk in this episode is fucking phenomenal. Some of the best acting I've seen.
Okay.
At which point Butcher walks in.
Right.
And he says to Soldier Boy, "No, not him, move on." So Soldier Boy's kind of like, I don't really have any reason to fuck with this guy anyway. Okay, cool, I'll go do what I'm here to do. At which point Mother's Milk and Butcher face off.
Right.
Mother's Milk then tries to walk past him, and obviously Butcher's taken temp V, so he's super strong, and he just holds him with a hand. And you've got Mother's Milk like Jake. The Mother's Milk's like a fucking massive dude, and he's trying to walk through him, and he won't let him. And he just gives him the dirtiest look you've ever seen. And like, I think he punches him in the face. But obviously, I mean, it does nothing. But he punched him in the face. We then get the most ridiculous scene. So you've got the TNT twins who clearly fucking hate each other, but their powers are reliant on each other.
Right.
And basically, the sister is outing the brother for putting a hidden camera in the toilet to look at people's arse as they shit. The worst bit is you see the footage.
Oh.
And basically, he's like, "It's a massive sex orgy. Everyone here's fine." And she's like, "Everyone here's fine when they're consenting. They don't know this is happening, you piece of shit." At which point they see Soldier Boy and they both, not literally again, figuratively, shit themselves. And they try and use their powers, but they're too slow, and Soldier Boy fucking obliterates everyone, is my direct quote here. So basically, he launches his nuke power, which everyone super close to him just gets instantly evaporated. But there's obviously a big explosion that sends people fucking flying in all directions.
Yeah.
But the important thing to remember about Herogasm is it is 50% superheroes and
Uh-huh.
50% honest sex workers with no powers.
Right.
So, like, a lot of the heroes will be fine because they'll be, like, able to heal pretty well and Vought will look after them. But the normal people are pretty fucked up, which then just leads to a really uncomfortable shot of the house kind of blown up and just loads of naked and half naked people falling out with like limbs missing, blood everywhere, blood curdling screams, like really horrible.
Lovely.
You've got Blue Hawk trying to run away. Blue Hawk's the racist.
Mm-hmm.
And A-Train grabs him and he's like, "Hey, what the fuck, dude? You like paralyzed my brother." And he's like, "Oh, he was getting violent." He's like, "Getting violent, bro? You have superpowers." And he was a little bit angry. "The fuck do you mean?" And he's like, "Ah, fuck you. You're all the same."
God.
So here's where you need a little bit of context. A-Train in previous years had been abusing essentially a performance enhancing drug for superheroes.
Mm.
And he's at the point now where he was told if he uses his superpowers again, he may well have a heart attack and die.
Oh.
All of Vought knew this, but they were keeping on because it's good publicity to have a black guy as part of the Seven. That's literally their logic.
Mm-hmm.
But Blue Hawk says this and he snaps. He grabs him and starts running as fast as he can, dragging Blue Hawk along the gravel behind him.
Okay.
Which, as I'm sure you can imagine, leads to a pretty bloody, like, sanding down of
Yeah.
Blue Hawk.
Good old road rash.
Yeah. So Blue Hawk's dead, and as A-Train stops running, he kind of, like, clutches chest and collapses to the floor.
Oh.
Leaving us to assume that he is dead.
Yeah.
Homelander then arrives at Herogasm.
Better late than never.
And this leads to one of the most impressive fight scenes I've ever seen without doing anything particularly special, which is the most impressive part to me. They don't break any rules or like change the game. They just do the basics perfect.
Right.
So after the explosion, got fucking flown into a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And we get Homelander versus Soldier Boy for a little while. So it starts with a little bit of verbal back chat of, "Boy, you're just a replacement." And he's like, "No, motherfucker, I'm the upgrade." So we kind of get them going blow to blow, which is again really enjoyable. Then Homelander lasers Butcher, and he's like, "Yeah, fuck you, you're dead now." So they continue at it, and then Homelander gets back up and lasers him back.
Oh.
Which kind of gets a, "What the fuck, Luke? Since when do you have powers?" Because obviously Homelander doesn't know that he has Temp V. Which then leads to Homelander versus Butcher for a minute.
Right.
Which was kind of cool to see. And then Soldier Boy gets involved again, and it's Butcher and Soldier Boy versus Homelander. At which point Homelander's really starting to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And then Huey TP's in again with his dick swinging. And they manage to pin him down. And like Soldier Boy's loading up another one of his nukes to kill Homelander as part of the deal. And just before it's about to go off, Homelander pushes them all off and flies out of the roof to safety.
Oh.
So like, for the first time, really, like throughout the entire 3 seasons of The Boys, Homelander's not really been seen as much of a threat to people of the same level as him because everyone is so far below his level.
Mm-hmm.
You imagine you're like a 6-year-old fighting an adult. The adult's not necessarily a good fighter, but he's still going to deal with the child because it's just bigger and stronger.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of how Homelander's been this entire time.
Right.
Now he's actually having to fight another adult.
I get you.
And going into that, everyone's like, okay, so has Homelander just been an adult fighting children, or is he still like a legit fighter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we got to see that he's legit still dangerous because it was taking 3 people with powers to even have a chance of getting close.
Yeah.
Then we get a shot of Frenchie kind of looking after Kamiko.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of going, okay, so what do you want to do? And then that there's not a particularly long scene. It's just kind of a bit chit chatty after a lot of action for the last 10 minutes or so. And then it comes back to Starlight outside of the house with all of the bodies on the floor, covered up from all the dead with Mother's Milk. And Mother's Milk like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Blah 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 blah. And basically they're doing Instagram live.
Oh.
And like when they do it in The Boys, you see the view counter. I think
Uh-huh.
it had like 300 million views. And basically she outs everyone and everything that's going on.
Oh shit.
She's
Okay.
like, Soldier Boy is back. Vought no. Homelander knows. He's doing fuck all about it. Soldier Boy is unhinged and dangerous. Homelander is not a superhero. He's a fucking villain. Blah 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 blah. Fuck you. I'm not Starlight anymore, and I'm gonna put an end to this.
Oh, well, that's one way to do it.
And that is how the episode ends. And like I said, obviously there's a lot going on, but the pacing is perfect. Nothing is too short. Nothing is too long. Other than the guy with a mega dick.
For fuck's sake.
It is one of the best episodes of TV I've seen. But yeah, it's not as sick and twisted as they wanted us to all think it was going to be, but it was a better episode of TV for it.
Get you. I get you.
Instead of doing what they were kind of marketing as is, we're just going to have an hour-long episode of tits and gore and blah, 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 blah. It was like, I mean, there's going to be a lot of tits, but like, there's a story here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that leads us